I think by now most people who are creating content know that the audio of your video is extremely important. In fact, it may be even more important than your video, because if something looks good but sounds like this, well, people are not going to want to watch it. But if it looks like this but sounds okay, you can kind of get over it. And that knowledge, paired with some of the really cool tech that's been out in the recent years, has led to a lot of companies jumping into the audio space. And Hollyland, which you may have heard of from their wireless transmitters for video, which I've made videos on, and I even have their latest system here with the monitor and transmitter, which I'm going to be making content on later on, so be sure to subscribe for that. But that company, who has mostly focused in that area, has also entered the microphone space, and now with this, the Hollyland LARK MAX, they are really taking their wireless audio system to the next level. Now, to say that Hollyland has revolutionized the space with this new LARK MAX is a little bit of an overstatement. Clearly, this looks like a lot of other products that have been out there, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I've used many of them, from DJI, Rode, Anchor. I mean, all of these systems that have a all-in-one package where you just have everything you need in this one charging case. I mean, this is the same idea here, but it's the right way to do it. It really works well. But this is a wireless microphone system all in this one case. So when you open it up, you have two transmitters, which are both microphones, and you have a receiver, which you can attach to your camera. But like I said, none of that is really new. I mean, even Hollyland themselves have made products like this before. But what's really, I think, important is, how does it perform? There's really like three things I look for in a wireless audio system like this. The first one is sound quality. It's obviously got to sound good. If it doesn't, then who cares about everything else, right? The second is usability, like how easy is it to set up? And then also like the reliability and everything that comes with that, like how's the signal, how's the battery life, all that stuff. Now, when it comes to sound quality, I think this sounds really good. In fact, you are listening to it right now. If I pick this up, you can see I am recording into the LARK MAX right now. But I think it sounds really good. And part of that is because of how it records. So it can record in a lossless 48 kilohertz 24-bit format, and that gets recorded right onto the transmitters themselves, even if you're not transmitting them wirelessly. And that is an uncompressed raw file, so they're not doing any processing of that on the microphone itself. You can do that on your own later on. But there are a few different modes that you can choose to do some of that processing. So there's a low cut filter, and there is a voice isolation, which will make your voice just stand out a little bit more if you don't really want to do all that on your own later on. But I think it sounds really good from that built-in microphone right on the transmitter. But you can also do a line in for like a lav, for instance, and Hollyland also has a lav available for this. So if you have a more particular sound that you're looking for from a lav, well, you have that option as well. Okay, so sound is good, but the usability is almost as important to me, at least in the way that I film. So for reference, I'm usually run and gun, usually on my own or with just one other person helping out, and I'm not setting up a huge elaborate set or anything like that. I really just find where I want to film and I start filming. So having a microphone system that I can just, instantly turn on and start recording, well, that's important to me. So when you open the case, they automatically turn on and pair to each other. So if I want to use the wireless signal, I can take the receiver, and then it does automatically pair to the transmitter, which is the microphone, put the receiver on my camera, take the microphone with me, and we're good to go. It uses a 2.4 gigahertz signal, and it does auto switching, so if there's other interference in the area, it'll figure out which frequency to use so that you don't have any interference noise. And you can take the microphone about 820 feet away and still get a signal. Obviously, that would be line of sight and in good situations, but that is a nice distance. One of my favorite features of these types of microphones is that I don't need to use the wireless transmission, because a lot of times I just don't really need that. Either I'm just doing audio or I can sync it up later. Or even more importantly, I do want to use the wireless transmission, but I also want a backup, and that's where the 8 gigabytes of internal storage comes in, so I can just record right to the transmitter or the microphone on its own. And that's typically, honestly, how I use this. I like to just record, have it all here stored, plug it in over USB-C. It shows up like a regular flash drive on my computer, drag it over, and I'm good to go. Now, there are different settings on these microphones that you can change, like, of course, the gain of the microphones, or if you want to listen through headphones and monitor, you can change that volume, all of that. There's also different settings, like if you have it plugged into your phone, which you can do with this as well to record. And there's a bunch of other settings as well, but all of that is controlled through that receiver. And I actually really like the menu function here. So there is a menu button, which is kind of like your select, and that rotates so you can scroll through the different options. And then there's a button on the other side to go back. And that makes it pretty fast to scroll through every option, get to the one that you need, make your change, and get back to recording. And then on the transmitter side of the microphone, when you're actually rigging it up, it's very easy to use as well. There's a built-in clip, so you can clip it wherever you want. And there's a magnet option that comes with it, so you can magnetize it onto some kind of surface if you need that. Plus, you can get to the dead cat filter that it just attaches on top, which comes with it. So everything you need is kind of built into either the receiver or the transmitter, it's just really easy to use. Now, the last step is like the reliability, and mainly for me, that means battery life. How often am I going to have to charge this? And well, the answer is not that often at all. So inside the case, there's a 2800 milliamp hour battery, and that is what you use to charge. So you just put everything in the case, plug it in over USB-C, and you are charging everything. Now, once you are done charging and you want to start recording, the transmitter or the microphone, that can go up to 7.5 hours on one charge, and the receiver can go to up to 9 hours. So you're getting a ton of record time. And then once you finish that, you can put it back in the case and charge it or use the other one that comes with it. So combine that with that 8 gigabytes of recording inside, which gives you about 14 hours of audio recording. I mean, you are going to be able to go all day, absolutely no problem with this. But if you are on a super long shoot and it does run out, it recharges in less than 2 hours. So you can kind of keep this rolling and you'd be good to go. But yeah, I mean, this is a very familiar package that we've seen from a lot of other companies, but Hollyland is dipping their toes in the really high-end version of it. And I think the audio quality is great, the accessories are great, and it gives you everything you want in one package. Now, what's also nice is that Hollyland is also selling a few different versions of this. So I have the 2 transmitter and 1 receiver bundle here, but if you don't need 2 microphones, you can buy just one and not have to pay the extra cost. So you'd be saving about $100. The dual version is $299 and the single version is $199. So that is a pretty good deal. But yeah, let me know what you think of this new system. It's always nice to see competition, even if it's, in a similar form factor to what we've seen. But I'll leave links down below if you want to pick it up for yourself or just learn more about it. But that is the new Hollyland LARK MAX. And I think Max is a pretty fitting name.